y'all, it's Linda. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the eyeshadow palette tag. This was started by Samantha March and Allie Glines here on YouTube, and it's just gonna go over my various eyeshadow palettes. I'm gonna let you know which was the most expensive, which is the most affordable, which is worth the hype, which is not worth the hype, all that jazz. I seriously love this tag. I have watched so many videos of people doing it, so I'm really excited to finally be sitting down and doing this, especially since so many of you guys requested that you wanted to see this. So let's get into all of these palettes. I've got stacks upon stacks over here where you can't see them. But before we get into all of that, if this is your first time here, hi, my name is Linda, and I would love if you'd hit that subscribe button and become a part of our fam. I do put out new videos here on YouTube every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and in the month of June, I am also putting out videos on Fridays. Or if you don't feel like making that commitment, because it is a hardcore commitment to subscribe to somebody, just maybe smash that thumbs up button. Give this video a like, give it a dislike if you feel like it. It's engagement, baby. To start off this video the way we start every video here on my channel, we must light the cat candle. This cat candle has a metal cat skeleton inside that slowly is being revealed. And when I say slowly, you all know I mean slowly. I only light this when I am filming, and I've been lighting this since December, and this is how far we've gotten. The head has fallen off. It's right here. And we can see the spine and the skull, but you know what this means? Say it with me. The cat is on fire. We can officially start. All right, let's jump into this tag. All of these palettes will be listed for purchase down below, and these are going to be affiliate links, which means that you will go straight to the product. You will pay normal price, but I will get a percentage of the sales because you went through my link. So if you do that, thank you so much. That's the kind of thing that helps to keep my channel running. We will start with what is your newest palette, and for me, that is the e.l.f. and J. Kissa To The Rescue palette. I'll put my review right up here so you guys can see it. I was not super impressed with this palette. You can even see already from this angle that so many of the shades have hard pan, and I've used this only a handful of times. I was really just disappointed with this one. I expected a lot more of it. I'm not sure why, but I did. It's a bright, colorful palette, so it's really up my alley, and it deals with rescue animals, and I love J. Kissa herself. I love e.l.f. as a brand, so this one just bummed me out. But I do have to say, I watched a ton of other reviews on this palette, and everyone absolutely loved it, and they got such good results out of it. So just on a whim, I emailed e.l.f. Now, they do not accept returns or exchanges or anything like that because their price point is so low. I emailed them and I was just like, hey, I just want to let you know that it seems like everyone had a great response to this palette. Everyone had great results. My results were really bad. Mine swatched terribly. It just did not look good. And here's the batch number, just so you're aware in case you get complaints like this in the future. Well, e.l.f. emailed me back almost immediately. I'd say within maybe 2 hours, and they said, we are so sorry that you were disappointed with the results. Would you like a refund, or would you like us to just ship you a new palette when it's restocked in a few weeks? And I was like, this is an option? I was like, I would like a new palette because I was really excited about this one. So they did send me a new one. I got this just yesterday. I have not opened it yet, but I am going to be doing a video comparing the two. So let me know what you guys think if you would want to see that kind of video, because I'm trying to decide whether I want to do that as a live stream or as a video. Let me know down below what you think. The next question is, what is your oldest palette? So I kind of have two for this one. The very first one is the OG Urban Decay Naked palette. I have used the hell out of this thing, and this color story still really speaks to me. This was like the OG viral eyeshadow palette that everyone had to have. I got this in 2010, and yes, I do know that eyeshadows have expiration dates. This one even says 6 months. Try 10 years, Urban Decay. Of course, if this had some sort of fungus growing on it, I would not be slapping it on my eyeballs, but it is doing just fine. I've used this as recently as yesterday. But I do also want to show you another one. Now, I am a cruelty-free YouTuber. I only buy cruelty-free products, but when I decided to go cruelty-free in 2018, I did not simply just throw away every piece of makeup that I had in my collection that was not cruelty-free. So this is one of those items, and this is easily, gosh, 15 plus years old. I'm gonna say more than 15, probably 17 years old. This is my Z palette with any MAC shadows that I have left in my collection. So most of these, as you can see, are neutrals, but like this color was so coveted back in the day. It's called Lucky Green, and it was super, super coveted, and I worked really hard to get this one, so I was really happy with it. But I did hang on to just a few of these, and obviously also Z palette is not a brand I support anymore personally, and MAC I do not buy from because they are not cruelty-free, but I just wanted to be completely transparent that if we're talking about oldest palettes, I mean, it's this guy. As far as my most expensive palette, you all know what's coming. It is the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. This palette retails for $129, so I fully suggest waiting for a sale, but this is one of my most loved palettes by far. I adore this palette. The quality of the shadows is ridiculous. They are so smooth and buttery, and the second you apply them, they blend beautifully together. It's not like you have to do 50 layers or sit there with a brush for an hour just to get it to look pretty. 2 seconds and it is just like the most perfect shadow look you've ever done. Also, of course, these sunset warm tones speak to my very heart. This is one of my top favorite palettes, and it took me a really long time to convince myself to buy it, so I'm very happy that I did, but it is $129. For my most affordable palette, I was actually kind of surprised I didn't have anything even cheaper than this, because even though this is inexpensive and affordable, I could have sworn that I still had some like drugstore eyeshadow palettes left in my collection, and I kind of don't. I guess I'm a huge effing snob. This is the ColourPop Honey palette, and it is filled with warm golds, and obviously this is kind of a theme you're gonna see with me. I'm a big fan of gold eyeshadows, especially with blue eyes. I really love this palette. A lot of people give this palette a lot of hate, but the only thing that I do give hate is this pressed glitter palooza. Even though my channel is called GlitterFallout, I do not like glitter fallout on my face, and that's what this is aiming to do. That's what this shadow was born to do. So if you're looking for a sprinkle of yellow glitter everywhere on your everything, and I mean everything, you want to use that pressed glitter. But otherwise, these are just beautiful colors. Like, let me show you just a couple of these metallics. These really are just gorgeous and wet looking and just so smooth, and they blend really, really well with each other. I was just so happy with this palette. So yes, at $12, the Honey palette is my most affordable. So this is the only time I'm bringing one back for a second look. And as far as my everyday palette, I'm sorry, but it's the Natasha Denona Sunset again. Now, I will admit that maybe this is my everyday palette because of the price, because this is my most expensive palette. I want to use this as much as possible, but this is my palette for such easy looks. When I don't have the time to sit and blend out a look for a long time, I want to go for something that's higher quality because it takes less work to make it look good. Now, with some other palettes, like for example, the ColourPop Honey palette that I just talked about, I really love it, but it does take a little bit longer because you've got to work with it just a little bit more patiently. You don't have to have any patience with this palette. This is my everyday palette. I take this traveling with me. I really genuinely love this palette. I feel like it's worth the investment. I use this several times a week just to create looks, and you can create something really bold or really, really neutral, and it's very versatile, and I feel like I sing its praises a lot, but for good reason. Also, note about the cat candle, as it starts burning down further, that flame is like hitting the cat skeleton and it's like burning metal at all times. Let me tell you, the smell in this room right now is charming. What is my most colorful palette? And that is the Colored Rain Vivid Pigments palette. This does go out of stock often, but it always comes back in stock. It is a higher priced item, but it always goes on sale, and it is just, I mean, look at this. Look at this. Every bright color you could need is in this palette. If you have no rainbow shades in your collection, I highly suggest getting this palette. It is very high quality. The pigments are very, very smooth and very pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way, but I haven't noticed a whole lot of fallout with this product either. Sometimes when stuff is too pigmented, it goes all over your face. Not with this guy. You've got neons in here, you've got some more pastel-y colors, you've just got bright, vivid rainbow colors. I really, really, really love this palette, and I was so happy to get it. This was like one of my prized possessions, and I love it. Next, it is all about the size. What is your smallest palette? For me, that is the Natasha Denona Mini Sunset Eyeshadow Palette. These are little baby palettes. I didn't understand exactly how small they were until I got my first one. For reference, this is my phone and it is bigger than the palette. And yeah, my phone's gross, ew. These have the same quality as other Natasha Denona shadows. They're very, very pigmented, very beautiful, and they all have that same shimmer and shine of other Natasha Denona shadows. They are such high quality, and to some, this might seem, of course, like an investment. These are $25, but again, the quality is so worth it. So if you don't feel like jumping the gun on one of the massive Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, that's $129 plus, go for one of the minis. You will not be disappointed. For my biggest palette, this one was a little weird for me because everybody else's video that I watched, they brought out these like glam light palettes that were this big, like the Burger palette or something like that. I don't have any massive palettes like that because those kind of don't appeal to me personally. I don't like having 9,000 colors in a palette. So my biggest palette would be the Tartist Pro Remix. So you do get a lot of shades in here and the palette size is pretty big, head for comparison. And I actually was pretty impressed with this. Now, there are a little bit more shimmers than I prefer. There's really only 2 mattes. So you've got this kind of neutral shade, which I appreciate, and a black, which I also appreciate. But I prefer a little more cohesive palette that has some more mattes in it to really work with. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 3 mattes, this one as well. So you've got these 2 neutrals and then the black. But it's just, I mean, they swatch really, really pretty. Do you notice how I always just go for like straight for the gold? But just, I mean, I'm really impressed with the pigmentation on this. I don't use this one nearly enough. This is one that I need to kind of remind myself to use more because it really is beautiful and worth it. I do think that this is a good investment if you decide to purchase this. So yes, Tartist Pro Remix is my biggest palette by far. So I'm kind of cheating with this next one, but what is your palette with the best memory? And I had to pick 2, and this is the Melt Cosmetics Amor Eterno collection. So we have the Muerte palette and the Vita palette. Here's the thing with these. When I first saw teasers of this collection online and I just saw the packaging, I was like, I need it. Like, I need the entire collection. I'm going to buy the entire thing. And then I saw the reveal of what was inside and I was like, oh, damn it. Do I really need that? And I talked myself out of it completely. The very next day, I happened to be at the mall and walked into Sephora and these were there on display the day after they were released. So I didn't expect them to even be there. And as soon as I saw them in person, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm buying both. So that alone is a great memory for me for some reason, but then in addition, when I put up the video on these, it was so well received and it got a lot of views for my channel, and I was really happy about that because I worked really, really hard on the video for these because I wanted to show people that I was hesitant originally, but I had been completely changed. Now, I do know that these were limited edition, and I'm so sorry. I feel like I shouldn't even show these because I know people still want these. I will see if I can find them for you online anywhere, and if so, they will definitely be linked down below. But I don't know. If you do come across these, I highly suggest purchasing them both. Let me show you inside. God, Linda. So this is the Vita palette. These colors are very like, I don't know, this screams like a party, like a fiesta to me. We've got those bright greens and the yellows and the reds, and it's just, I don't know. I love this. I mean, it's very reminiscent of the outer packaging, as both of them are. This one is my favorite, for sure. I know a lot of people like Muerte better, but this one's definitely my favorite. And then Muerte is much darker tones, deeper tones. So you've got those burgundies, those navy blues, and you've got these 2 really beautiful tones out here, which I completely thought would be just out of left field, but they go so well with this color palette, and I love them. I love them both. I love them both. I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't be saying that. I love them both. And they're magnetic. Look at that, they're just magnetic. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. Fun fact, at least once every video, I have to pause for a second to just burp about 30 times because I take in a lot of air. A palette that is worth the hype, and for me, that is the Urban Decay Naked Honey. I just put out a video about this really recently. I hemmed and hawed for so long about buying this palette, and I mean, it is worth the hype. So many of you talked me into buying this. You are the devils on my shoulder, and I love each and every one of you. But I was so hesitant about buying this for some reason, because on screen, it just doesn't look like much, right? It looks just like a neutral palette. You've got this stuff in your collection, you can dupe it, etc., etc. But in person, once you swatch everything, it is next level, like nothing I've seen before. These metallics are stunning. The best part about this is the mattes are just as good. I have used this so much since I got it, and it's just, the colors are just perfect. So if you are looking for kind of a gold palette at all, this is probably the one I'd recommend over all others. It is so good. It is so worth the hype. Ooh. Ooh. As far as a palette that is not worth the hype, again, this is one that I've watched tons of videos of people doing this tag, and I'm kind of always surprised when they're like, oh, this is the palette that's not worth the hype. If a palette is not worth the hype to me, I've gotten rid of it. I do not keep things in my collection that I don't like. I don't understand why you would keep a palette in your collection that you hate. So I either will, offer it to a friend, and maybe it'll work for them, or I will sell it on a resale site. But if something doesn't work for me, I do not keep it. As far as a palette that's not worth the hype, I might get some crap for this one. I'm gonna put a picture of it right up here, but I'm going to say the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. So many people were so obsessed with this palette that even though the color story didn't really appeal to me, I bought it anyway once it went on sale, because I was like, look, everybody is obsessed with this. It's gotta be good, right? It did not work for me for so many reasons. It was chalky, it was powdery, it would go all over my face no matter how little product I was picking up on my brush. I found that the colors didn't play well together. You would try to put one and blend it into the other, and it would just go patchy, or the color would disappear. And also just, they didn't look the same in the pan that they would on your eyes. There was just so much I was disappointed with this palette that I eventually wound up giving it away to a friend. I was like, no, this is not it for me. Now, if you love Modern Renaissance, like thousands of people do, that is awesome. I am so happy for you, but I personally do not believe it was worth the hype. That's one that I'm really curious about though. Tell me in the comments below what palette you feel is not worth the hype, because there's so many palettes that go so viral, but they don't work for everyone. So tell me down below. We just have two more. As far as my favorite palette from my favorite brand, I think you knew this was coming, but it is the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. I don't have to be as gentle with this one because the one shade that was broken just fell completely out, but this is the color story of my grungy 90s girl dreams. It is dark and smoky, and those olive greens, ooh, olive green is a color that speaks to my very soul. So this palette is chock full of just dirty and dusty in the best way possible. The quality is absolutely amazing. You've got this like beautiful mustard shade, but these like beautiful toned browns. You've got a black that looks kind of greenish right now because it is a mess. Now, one thing I will say about this palette as a disclaimer is that this kind of thing happens for a lot of people with the Gemini palette, that shades fall out or that they feel like it's not packed as well. For me, it's still worth it because the shades that are there are perfect. Now, someday when I get to the bottom of this palette and when I hit pan, I might very well buy a brand new palette because I did hear that they reformulated it a bit and the quality has gotten a bit better. Of course, I'm gonna link this down below in case you're interested, but I love this palette. And if you like grungy, smoky, dark looks, this is, it's a need. And finally, my most used palette is the Nubian by Juvia's Place. This, again, I feel like I just keep picking up 90 different neutral palettes, but this has so many beautiful shades in it. I can create entire looks from it because there's a beautiful balance of matte tones and shimmer tones. None of it has any fallout. This is such an affordable palette and one that I have purchased for so many friends because I'm convinced everyone needs it in their collection. No matter what skin tone you are, no matter what color your eyes are, whatever it is, you all need this. As you can see, I have hit some severe pan on this shade. It is one of my favorites. I am very close to pan on this shade as well. Oh, and this, I am so close to pan on most of these shades. I use this palette so often. This is another one I always take on trips with me. Trips, vacations, what are those? But genuinely, I love this palette. I know I keep singing its praises, but it's so damn good. So that's it. If you have been a part of my channel for any length of time, you probably could have guessed a lot of these. I am not somebody who has a shadow palette collection of 2,000 or something like that, because if I don't like something, I give it away, or if I'm not using it, I sell it. I just get it out of my collection so I can make room for things I love. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. I do put out new videos on YouTube every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and in June I'm also putting out videos on Friday mornings. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are all GlitterFallout, and as always and forever, you are super freaking rock stars. I love you with my whole heart, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!